Now, if you're thinking about hitting that free hit button in FPL Game Week 2, don't worry, I've got you covered with the ultimate team in today's video. Now, before we dive into the team and the video itself, of course, if you do enjoy any of the content that you see on the FPL Tom YouTube channel, make sure you're liking, commenting and subscribing, as we are trying to hit 17,500 subscribers before the international break, and it is only possible with your guys' amazing support. So like I said, if you do enjoy the content that you see on this channel, like I said, just hit that subscribe button. Let me know as well in the comment section if you're thinking about a free hit in Game Week 2, because there's some really good fixtures I think we need to be targeting. And a lot of us in our Game Week 1 drafts didn't quite have some of the players, obviously looking at Arsenal with that Leeds fixture. And let's just dive straight into the team then, starting off with our defence first. We've gone for the double up in terms of the Arsenal defenders here. We've gone for Saliba, we've gone for Gabriel. Arsenal looked really threatening from set plays yet again. And I do think that is going to be, one of their strengths that they're going to be looking to take full advantage of heading into this new season. And why not go for the two players that they're going to be aiming for probably most? It is Saliba and it is Gabriel as well. You imagine when the betting data kind of, numbers do come out regarding the clean sheets, you imagine Arsenal at home against a newly promoted Leeds side as well. Probably going to, I would say, at least at a minimum, probably 40%. Maybe at a maximum 50%. So why would you not take pretty much a coin flip on two players there, picking up clean sheets? Obviously Saliba as well managed to get himself DEFCON, and with the way that Arsenal are setting up from set pieces, again, you do feel like both of these guys as well are of course just going to chip away with some goals across the course of this season. So I think targeting that Arsenal defence, going for the double up rather than of course the attackers, Gyökeres hooked in the 59th minute, didn't really do anything in the game. I think, the safe and sensible bet, probably go for the Gabriel and Saliba double up. In terms of the goalkeeper, we've gone for Sanchez. Again, it was a disappointing result for Chelsea today. However, they really did restrict Palace. 0.63 XG for Palace. Obviously, Chelsea last season were one of the top defences for expected goals conceded. They actually finished third on that metric last season. And looking at that West Ham side, they looked very poor going forward. Like Jared Bowen, I feel so sorry for the guy. Everything is pretty much just resting on his shoulders. The other attackers just honk, to be honest. Full Creek is not a Premier League forward. I don't care what anybody says. He's just not that guy, is he? So, yeah, Sanchez in goal at 5 million feels like a pretty good offer, to be honest. I think the other goalkeeper that you maybe could look at would maybe be like a 4.5 Petrovic, potentially. Could be a decent option, but I think, there is spaces to attack that Bournemouth defence. And if you really didn't fancy any of the Arsenal attackers, you could go for that triple up and maybe go for David Raya in goal as well. The final defender we've gone for is Lacroix. He actually managed to hit DEFCON again today. He seems like he could be one of those players at 5 million that is just going to tick along very nicely. Now, Nottingham Forest, of course, did manage to batter Brentford in today's fixture, but still, I think, Crystal Palace, they've shown in the Community Shield, they've shown today as well what they can actually do against top sides and really restrict them from attacking and, being able to keep things really tight at the defence. So I think they're going to have a pretty decent go at Nottingham Forest. The only concern I do have around Crystal Palace, of course, they do have a midweek fixture with European football with their big qualifier. So they might be a little bit potentially, lagged, because a lot of the players will have never played in it. Crystal Palace will have never played in Europe. And there's certain procedures that, these clubs that have never played in it before probably aren't used to. In terms of our bench defenders then and goalkeeper, let's just clean it up. Of course, we're just going to pick, Burnley and Sunderland players because, they're playing against each other. It's probably one of the best times to, of course, attack Burnley and Sunderland players. So you might as well fill your bench with these 4 million guys, in my personal opinion. Now let's just dive straight into the midfield then, and let's start off with one of the best players from Game Week 1. It is Reinders. He's currently, at the time of me recording this, priced at 5.5 million. However, he is expected to rise tonight, and if that is the case, of course, this team would fall out of budget, and the positions I probably would look to downgrade would either be Sanchez down to a 4.5 or Lacroix probably to Richards. At least then you're still getting that Crystal Palace defence as well. So they're the areas that, of course, if of course Reinders, and I think Semedo's also flagged to potentially go up tonight, if those both go up, of course you wouldn't be able to afford this squad, so those would be the two players I would be looking to drop in that case. But let's talk more about Reinders. Of course, he looked absolutely class against Wolves. The room that they allowed him was an absolute joke. I don't think he's going to get that kind of room against Tottenham, but still for 5.5, even 5.6. This guy's going to be an absolute steal, and I think he's going to be making his way into a lot more people's teams this season. Of course, at that price point as well, he really just enables you to go and build an absolute stacked side, as you can see, with 2 6 million premium defenders. We've got Saka in here, we've got Palmer and Bruno Fernandes. So let's talk through the other midfielders then. Saka, like I said, Arsenal were a little bit limp going forward, and Saka didn't really do too much. However, he does represent one of the best captaincy options in game week 1. He's actually one of the top players for predicted points heading into game week 2. And I do think he could be a nice potential differential captain as well if you were to go for him on the free hit. Only currently around 17%. And you do feel Arsenal at home against the newly promoted side probably should be winning by a couple of goals. And you do feel like this is probably where Saka is going to start to get some attacking involvement. Cole Palmer, man, that performance today was really, really poor. Really, really mid from him. But again, West Ham, with how they look defensively, I think there's going to be so much areas. And Chelsea are, of course, going to be looking to bounce back from that one. Again, offers you another alternative captaincy as well with your free hit. But I understand if people didn't want to go with Cole Palmer on their game week 2 free hit. But I think for me, the West Ham fixture is just a little bit too succulent. And I definitely think Chelsea will be looking to bounce back from that disappointing 0-0 today at home. Finishing up, it is going to be one of the star boys and, of course, one of the big hitters in the Friday night game. It is going to be Semenyo at 7 million. Again, looking like he potentially could rise up to 7.1 by the time this video actually drops on Monday morning. But again, he looked phenomenal. He was one of those players last season as well, where I don't think he had quite that clinical edge. Of course, managed to get himself double-digit kind of, goals and assists, but never really kind of, had that clinicality to his game. He shot a lot, but a lot of it was quite, low percentage opportunities. The chances he took on Friday night were just exceptional, especially that second goal. I think that, personally, is probably going to win Goal of the Month. Let me know if you agree with that one down in the comment section, but I think that could win Goal of the Month. It was that good a finish. Wolves as well looked really, really bad against City. Now, was that City, being excellent and, one of the best sides in the league? Maybe. Or was it the fact that Wolves just looked really, really poor? And I think Bournemouth will be looking at this, licking their lips as well. They were one of the top attacking sides as well for XG created last season as well. And it looks like, they're kind of just going to kick on as well heading into this new campaign. Now, Bruno Fernandes did, of course, blank against Arsenal in game week 1. However, he created the most chances in that game with 5 and was actually very, very close to achieving his 2 additional DEFCON points as well. I actually think he had a pretty good performance, to be honest. Very unfortunate not to have come away with at least something from that game. They've got Fulham next. I watched the full Fulham-Brighton game. It was one of the games that I had on the 3 o'clockers, and I was like, man, Fulham don't look good. Like, Fulham and Brighton, it was a pretty mid clash, to be honest. It was the battle of the mids, let's just say that. And I think, a United side that were purring at points definitely should have got at least something out of that Arsenal game. I think Bruno Fernandes, give him another chance. I think he could be a great little asset. If he goes on another game like he did today against the weaker opposition, I think, he could come away with some attacking returns. You never know with his, of course, penalties, whenever one of those is going to drop. And if you can maybe get some DEFCONs on top of that as well, you could be finding yourself looking at a potential double-digit haul. Overall, the midfield, I think, is probably going to split some opinions, but I'm quite happy with it. I think you've got a nice mix of premiums in there with some mid-price midfielders. But let me know what you think of it down in the comments section. And completing our lineup is going to be Erling Haaland and Maeda. Both of these players scoring in game week 1. Let's start off first with Haaland. He just looked back to his best, didn't he? Him and Reinders, the combination between those two was looking very, very succulent. And I know a lot of people were, of course, praising Spurs for their dominant performance and being like, yep, they were a great team. They absolutely smashed it out of the park. But in fact, matter of fact, Burnley actually created more XG than Sunderland did against West Ham. So maybe Burnley, and Tottenham aren't the kind of the defence that we originally assumed. You know what I mean? Maybe we've got to give him a little bit more credit, to be honest. So I think Erling Haaland, he's looking really good at the start of the season. City were playing some absolutely sensational football, to be honest. They were just tick-a-tacker, quick football. What we've seen from City a couple seasons ago, really. Not last season, but seasons prior to that. And I think, like I said, that combination between Reinders and Haaland was looking really, really good. And if you look to the 11ify model, it's actually got this as being one of Manchester City's highest projected goal numbers over the opening 6 game weeks as well. So maybe they might be onto something there with the 11-5 numbers, and there might be something in there as well for a potential Haaland captaincy. Like I said, you really got a lot of great choices you could go for here in terms of captaincy with the free hit we have built. You've got Saka with, of course, probably the best and the standout fixture for game week 2. Cole Palmer, not a bad option. Bruno Fernandes, not a bad option. And what Haaland did against Wolves, if he can recreate that against Tottenham, could also be an absolutely stellar option. Then we've gone for Maeda at 5.5. Feels like a pretty decent value, to be honest, against Burnley. Like I said, you don't really know what's going to come out of that one. But I feel Sunderland, off the back of that 3-0 win, going to be taking a lot of confidence, where Burnley heading in off a 3-0 defeat. There's going to be different sides of the coin. And I think Sunderland are going to be a lot more up for that game. And I really expect some goals to be flying in that relegation kind of, massive 6-pointer this early in the season. And Maeda, of course, scoring in game week 1. I think the confidence will be high for him and Sunderland, and maybe we'll want to look to add to that as well. We've also gone for Mark Gui on the bench. I mean, less said the better, to be honest. 4.5 million. He's going to just sit third sub for this side. Now, of course, if you haven't watched any of the preseason content, you don't know that I've obviously teamed up with Fantasy Football Hub again for this season. And every single week, it's one of my favourite things to do, is to go and check out the best Game Week 2 free hit side. You can go and do this for yourself. There is a link in the description to go and sign up for their amazing website. But yeah, this is the AI predicted team it has gone for the free hit. Some very interesting picks, to be honest. It's really liking the Crystal Palace defence, as am I. Obviously, Munoz, not a bad pick either. It's gone for the Gabriel. It's gone for Saka. Declan Rice could be a decent option as well, taking a few juicy set pieces today. Obviously, Cole Palmer's in there. It's got Mohamed Salah. Now, Mohamed Salah is one of the top predictive points players for this week, but I think Newcastle actually look quite good against Aston Villa on Saturday. I think they'll be at home. Obviously, everything surrounding Alexander Isak, I think there's potentially going to be a lot on the line for that one. So I'm not 100% convinced Salah maybe is the right pick. It's really gone heavy on Crystal Palace. I'm not quite sure that might be the best option after, of course, their European game. But I don't mind Munoz. I don't mind Richards. We've got the one Palace pick as well. It's gone for the double Bournemouth attack as well. I think it's definitely seen what happened to Wolves in game week 1. And yeah, really gone for it. And a very similar bench as well to what I've gone for. Just, of course, some Burnley and Sunderland players. Let me know what you think of my team, and let me know what you think of the Fantasy Football Hub AI one as well. Of course, like I said, if you want to go and check this out for yourself, or of course predictive points, loads of other amazing features on their website, link in the description. Go and sign up. It's an absolutely stellar website. It helped me achieve a top 10k finish last season, and I'm hoping it can do the same again this season. Of course, if you did enjoy any of the content, make sure you're liking, commenting and subscribing, and the best of luck for game week 2.